I can't be what you need right now, but I can't lose what I need most either. Those words hung in the air between them, the office Christmas party still pulsing with music down the hall, as Mark watched his boss's expression shift from rejection to something deeper, understanding. If you've ever had a moment that completely altered your life's trajectory, stay with me through this story. Like, subscribe, and join our community of real-life storytellers who know that sometimes, the most powerful changes come from our most vulnerable moments. Emma Reeves never planned to fall for her employee. As CEO of Horizon Marketing, she'd built her reputation on professionalism and boundary setting. At 42, she'd sacrificed relationships for career advancement, convincing herself that the corner office was worth the empty apartment she returned to each night. The company Christmas party was her one annual indulgence, the night she allowed herself to relax the iron grip she maintained on her emotions. Mark Sullivan had been at Horizon for just under a year. At 38, he'd joined the company after his wife's death left him a single father to 7-year-old Lily. The job offered stability, good benefits, and most importantly, hours that allowed him to be there for his daughter. Dating wasn't even on his radar. Grief and responsibility had consumed any space that might have held romantic aspirations. The night of the party, Emma had one too many glasses of champagne. The holiday lights twinkled, the music swelled, and for once, she let herself feel the loneliness that success had never managed to fill. Mark stood by the window, checking his phone, probably texting the babysitter about Lily, when Emma approached. "You're missing the fun," she said, her words slightly slurred. Mark smiled politely. "Just checking in on Lily. The babysitter says she's finally asleep." "You're a good father," Emma said, moving closer. "I've noticed that about you." "Thank you," Mark replied, uncomfortable with the sudden proximity of his boss, the faint scent of alcohol on her breath. "I've noticed a lot about you," Emma continued, her professional demeanor slipping away. "How you never complain about leaving early for school pickups. How you bring the same lunch every day, peanut butter sandwich with the crusts cut off. I'm guessing that's Lily's favorite too?" Mark nodded, surprised by her observations. "I've noticed how you look at the family photos on people's desks sometimes," she said softly. "Like you're remembering something." The vulnerability in her voice caught him off guard. In that moment, she wasn't his intimidating boss, she was just a woman who saw him, really saw him, when he'd felt invisible for so long. "Emma, I think maybe you've had." She leaned forward suddenly, her lips aiming for his, but Mark gently placed his hands on her shoulders, stopping her. "I can't be what you need right now, but I can't lose what I need most either," he said quietly. Emma froze, the words cutting through her champagne haze. "My daughter needs stability. This job gives us that. And you," Mark hesitated, "you deserve someone who can give you their whole heart, not the pieces I have left." Emma stepped back, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment and something else, respect. No one spoke to her with such honesty anymore. Everyone either feared her or wanted something from her. "I'm sorry," she whispered, the CEO mask slipping back into place. "That was inappropriate. Please forget this happened." But neither of them could forget. The following Monday, Mark expected a termination notice. Instead, he found a handwritten note on his desk: "Your honesty is rare. I value that more than momentary comfort. Your position is secure. E." Weeks passed with professional, if slightly awkward, interactions. Then one evening, as Mark was leaving to pick up Lily from her after-school program, Emma stopped him. "I've been thinking about what you said," she began, her voice steady and sober. "About not being able to be what I need. It made me realize I don't actually know what I need. I've been chasing success for so long, I forgot to define what success means to me personally." Mark nodded, unsure where this was going. "I'm starting therapy," she continued. "And I've decided to implement some changes around here. More family-friendly policies. Starting with an on-site childcare facility. Mark's eyes widened. That would be incredible for so many employees. I thought maybe Lily might be the first enrollee, Emma suggested. If you're comfortable with that. The center would be professionally staffed, of course. That conversation marked the beginning of a transformation, not a romantic one, but something equally powerful. Emma channeled her energy into making Horizon a truly family-supportive workplace. Mark found himself consulting on the childcare center, his perspective as a single parent valued in a way he hadn't experienced since his wife's death. Months passed. Emma's therapy helped her recognize that her attraction to Mark had been partly about his devotion to his daughter. She'd been drawn to the family unit she'd denied herself. Mark began to heal too, finding purpose in helping shape workplace policies that supported other parents like him. They developed a friendship built on mutual respect and boundaries. Emma became Miss Emma to Lily, who adored visiting the colorful childcare center where her father worked. For the first time since becoming a single dad, Mark felt like he wasn't constantly choosing between being a good father and a good employee. A year after the Christmas party incident, Emma invited Mark to coffee, off company property and during weekend hours. "I want to thank you," she said. "Your honesty that night forced me to face some truths I'd been avoiding. I was using work to hide from my fear of vulnerability." Mark smiled. "And I was using grief as an excuse to stop living. Watching you transform the company made me realize I was capable of more than just surviving day to day." "We've both changed," Emma acknowledged. "For the better," Mark agreed. Emma took a deep breath. "Which is why I wanted to ask you something. Not as your boss, I've arranged for your department to report to Daniel starting next month to remove that complication, but as someone who values your friendship and has grown to care about both you and Lily." Mark felt his heart quicken. "Would you and Lily like to join me for dinner sometime?" "Just as friends," she added quickly. "I think we've both earned the right to explore what we might need now, rather than what we couldn't be for each other then." Mark considered her words. The past year had given him space to grieve properly, to build a life for Lily that wasn't just about surviving their loss. He'd watched Emma transform from a work-obsessed boss to a thoughtful leader who valued balance. "I think Lily would like that," he said finally. "And so would I." Their relationship evolved slowly, deliberately. Emma became a friend to Lily first, never pushing to be more than the child was comfortable with. Mark appreciated her patience, the way she respected the sacred space his late wife still occupied in their hearts. 2 years after that fateful Christmas party, Mark and Emma sat on a park bench watching Lily play. Their hands found each other's, fingers intertwining. "Do you ever think about that night?" Emma asked. "What might have happened if you hadn't stopped me?" Mark nodded. "We would have had a moment of comfort, followed by regret and complications. I would have probably lost my job, or at least my self-respect. You would have compromised your principles. We would have missed out on all of this. All because you had the courage to be honest," Emma mused. "Honesty was all I had left after Sarah died," Mark admitted. "When you lose someone you love, you realize how precious time is. Too precious for anything but truth." Emma squeezed his hand. "Your one honest line changed both our lives." "For the better," Mark added, watching as Lily waved to them from the swings. The company continued to thrive under Emma's more balanced leadership. Employee retention improved dramatically, and Horizon became known as a pioneer in family-friendly workplace policies. Mark eventually headed the Human Resources Department, his empathy and practical experience making him uniquely qualified to support other employees navigating work-life challenges. Their personal relationship deepened gradually, built on friendship and mutual respect rather than impulsive attraction. When Mark finally felt ready to open his heart fully again, he knew it wasn't betraying his late wife but honoring the love she'd taught him to give. On the 3rd anniversary of that Christmas party, Mark proposed, not with grand gestures, but with the same honest simplicity that had defined their relationship. "I can be what you need now," he told Emma, "because you helped me find what I needed most, the courage to live fully again. Emma, who had once measured success in profit margins and market share, found herself crying tears of joy over a different kind of achievement, the family she'd never allowed herself to want. Lily, now 10, had been part of the proposal plan, presenting Emma with a handmade card that read, "Will you be part of our family forever?" Their wedding was small and meaningful. Lily stood beside them as they exchanged vows, her hand holding both of theirs as they promised to build a future together. The journey from that drunken almost kiss to a blended family hadn't been without challenges. They'd navigated grief, professional boundaries, and the delicate process of introducing Emma into Lily's life. There had been missteps and difficult conversations, moments when the past threatened to overshadow their future. But through it all, they returned to the foundation of that one honest moment, the understanding that true connection requires courage, boundaries, and perfect timing. Years later, when asked about the secret to their successful relationship, Emma would smile and say, "He told me no when it would have been easier to say yes. That's when I knew he was someone worth waiting for." And Mark would add, "Sometimes the most loving thing you can say is the hardest truth." That night, I was protecting both of us from what we weren't ready for. Their story spread through the company, then beyond, a testament to the power of honesty, the importance of boundaries, and the beautiful possibilities that emerge when we honor both. Horizon's family-friendly policies became a model for other corporations, and Emma frequently spoke at business conferences about how personal growth and professional success could complement rather than compete with each other. The childcare center expanded to include after-school programs and summer camps. Mark and Emma established a foundation in Sarah's memory to support other single parents returning to the workforce after loss. Lily grew up surrounded by love, the memory of her mother kept alive through stories and traditions, and the steady presence of a stepmother who never tried to replace what was lost but instead created something new and equally precious. On difficult days, when balancing family and career seemed impossible, Mark and Emma would remind each other of how far they'd come from that Christmas party, how a moment of vulnerability, met with honest boundaries, had set them on a path neither could have imagined. "I can't be what you need right now, but I can't lose what I need most either." 14 words that changed everything. Not because they led to an immediate happy ending, but because they created space for something authentic to grow in its own time. If you've ever stood at a crossroads between what you want and what you know is right, remember Mark and Emma's story. Sometimes the bravest love isn't about grand gestures or immediate gratification, it's about honoring truth, respecting boundaries, and trusting that the right connection will unfold when both hearts are truly ready. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. If this story touched you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories about moments that change everything. Share in the comments about a time when honesty changed your path, because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones we live ourselves.